Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India News Hour, India's voice to the world with me, Deepika, coming up in the next 1 hour. Syrian government and leaders of Druze minority announced new ceasefire, UN Security Council to meet today. India all set to explore hydrocarbons in more than 200,000 square kilometers, says Petroleum and Natural Gas Minister Hardeep Singh Puri. Mark Zuckerberg faces $8 billion trial over user data misuse allegations. Plaintiffs claim Meta illegally harvested data of Facebook users in violation of 2012 federal agreement. And in chess, India's Praggnanandhaa registers stunning victory over world number 1 Magnus Carlsen in freestyle Las Vegas Grand Slam chess tournament. A very good afternoon to all the viewers joining us at this afternoon broadcast. To begin with Syria. Syria's interim president Ahmed al-Shara promised to protect the rights of Druze citizens on Thursday as a ceasefire appeared to be holding in the country's south following US intervention to end fighting between government forces and Druze fighters. Syria's interim president Ahmed al-Shara has now said that protecting the Druze citizens and their rights is their priority. In his first televised statement after the powerful Israeli airstrikes on Damascus on Wednesday, Shara addressed Druze citizens saying they reject any attempt to drag Druze into the hands of an external party. He added that the Syrian people are not afraid of war and are ready to fight if their dignity is threatened.
I also addressed the Druze people, who are an integral part of the fabric of this nation. Syria will never be a place for division or fragmentation or sowing discord among its people. We assure you that protecting your rights and freedom is one of our priorities, and we reject any effort that aims to drag you to an external party or to create division within our ranks.
Meanwhile, convoy of 5 Israeli military vehicles, which included 4 Humvees and 1 transport vehicle with troops on board, crossed into the Syrian side of the Israel-Syria border near the Druze town of Majdaal Shams in Golan Heights on Thursday. Amid escalating tensions in West Asia, United Nations Security Council, or the UNSC, will hold an emergency meeting on Thursday to discuss the Syria conflict. Earlier, what started as a local conflict in southern Syria between local Druze and Bedouin communities over the weekend escalated on Wednesday, with Israel targeting Syria's Ministry of Defense and other targets in the capital, Damascus. The recent violence in Sweden began after Bedouin armed groups kidnapped a Druze trader on the road to Damascus on the 11th of July. The abduction quickly turned into more widespread violence between the two communities that have a long-standing rivalry due to land disputes. The attacks marked a significant Israeli escalation against the Islamist-led administration of interim President Ahmed al-Shara. Following calls in Israel to help Druze in Syria, scores of Israeli Druze broke through the border fence on Wednesday, linking up with Druze on the Syrian side. Israel has vowed to shield the area's Druze community from attack. And now let's take a closer look at the deeply complex sectarian and ethnic mosaic shaping Syria's ongoing conflict. From Sunni Muslims to Alawites, Druze, Kurds and Christians, each group has a distinct history, role and stake in the nation's fragile future.
Syria's population of over 20 million is overwhelmingly Sunni Muslim, but also includes a mix of Alawites, Christians, Druze, Shiites and Kurds, each with deep-rooted identities. Sunni Muslims have long dominated Syria's cultural centers like Damascus and Aleppo. But since Hafez al-Assad seized power in 1970, power shifted towards Alawite minority. In 1982, the Syrian branch of the Sunni Islamist Muslim Brotherhood launched an unsuccessful revolt against Hafez al-Assad. The Alawites, just 10% of the population, gained prominence under the Assads. They were a historically poor rural community from Syria's mountainous coastal region. Hailing from the Alawite village of Kwardaha, Hafiz al-Assad seized power after climbing the ranks in the military and the Baath party. Druze communities rooted in southern Sweden maintain a degree of secrecy about the practice of their faith, which incorporates elements from Islam and other philosophies, emphasizing monotheism and reincarnation. The minority group that also has members in Lebanon, Israel, and the Israeli occupied Golan Heights. Kurds are Syria's largest non Arab ethnic group at around 10% of the population and are concentrated near the border with Turkey and Iraq. They are part of a stateless ethnic group spread between Syria, Turkey, Iran, Iraq, and Armenia. Christians, though small in number, are diverse: the Greek Orthodox, Maronites, Syriac Orthodox, and Catholics, Chaldeans, Assyrians, and Armenian Orthodox and Catholics, and a few Protestants. With ethnic and sectarian lines shaping alliances and battlefronts, interim President Sharar's efforts to unify Syria face daunting challenges. The road to peace in Syria must navigate centuries of history and a mosaic of identities, each demanding a voice in the nation's uncertain future. Bureau Report, DD India.
And now to discuss more on this, I'm joined by Dr. Kivraj Jangir, a West Asia expert from OP Jindal Global University. Good afternoon, Mr. Jangir. Now, after US's involvement, Syria announced its withdrawal from violence at Sweden, and after that, Al-Shara government says it is important for them to protect the Druze community. First, tell us about the importance of the Druze community for Israel, because although they make up to 3% of the population in Syria, but many of them are a part of Israel's military service as well.
Thank you for this conversation. And I really appreciate your presentation of this area's sectarian map. I think that's very important for people in India to really imagine that part of the world, that it's not one homogeneous Islamic world. There are very many non-Islamic communities. And the issue of the Druze is one of them. It's a minority in West Asia. It's a non-Islamic minority in West Asia and has faced a pretty violent engagement with the different Muslim regimes and states. Unlike the other Arab and Muslim entities, Druze have found a great amount of affinity, trust, and coexistence with the Jews. So, right from the beginning of the Israeli state in 1948, Druze were exceptionally the people in the Middle East and in West Asia that embraced the arrival of the Israeli state. Right from the first year, they started serving in the Israeli army. Now, serving in the Israeli army was a big question for non-Jews, meaning for the Palestinian Arabs or the Palestinian Muslim Arabs. But for the Druze, it was a question of showing solidarity with the majority of the country that protects them in return. So yes, from the beginning, Druze offered Israel a loyalty, and in return, Israel offered them full protection. Now, Druze in Syria is a more tricky issue for the Israeli state. But what happened? Because of the long civil war in Syria, Ahmed al-Shara has an unmanageable task in his hands. Will he be able to really handle the sectarian divisions of Syria? One hopes that he succeeds in this very ambitious challenge. But when it comes to the Israeli state and the Druze, in the last 2 years, when Israel has been in war in south and in north, in Lebanon, the Druze community leaders from Lebanon to Syria mobilized themselves. In fact, there was a large delegation of more than 100 community leaders of Lebanon and Syrian Jewish neighborhoods that went into Israel. They were invited to Jerusalem. They met the leaders of Israeli state president and the prime minister and appealed that please take responsibility for us even when we are outside. Some of these communities are married into the communities that live inside the Israeli territories or in Golan Heights. So the Druze community is extremely tied into three parts. And because Israel holds a very significant part of it on its side, it has found itself in a very difficult position to be indifferent to whatever happens to the Druze in Syria. More importantly, uh, it also serves a great strategic purpose for the Israeli military. If we look at Syria's southern part, after Golan Heights, the, the, the the Druze villages and the towns are actually the buffer zones between Israeli state and the other mainstream Syrian land, let's say the Sunni dominated or the others. The community of the Bedouins are also very important for the Israeli state. I mean, Bedouins are also part of the Israeli state in the Negev, and they serve a significant, again, non-Islamic, tribal, nomadic minority of the landscape of the Middle East. So Israel is actually now in a very, let's say, overconfident position to go beyond its territory and say, well, we will protect this particular group. We have a particular historical affinity with the group. But it also does serve its strategic purpose. So it's a combination of two, a historical connection with the Druze community and their strong connect with the Israeli state, as well as the strategic use of these Druze villages holding their ground against the other militias that are still very free in Syrian territories.
Dr. Jangir, now talking further about the possible intention of the attack, is it only to forge an alliance with the Druze community or sending a strong message to the al-Shara government as well? What do you think?
It is to send a message.
And also, US played a key role in this, and Marco Rubio said that we think we are on our way towards a real de-escalation. But what are the possibilities of the real de-escalation when we talk about it?
Listen, let's look at what would be Ahmad al-Shara's interest. Ahmad al-Shara, even if he's publicly making very uncomfortable, positions, he's happy. He's happy that his regime is getting support from America and Israel. Ahmad al-Shara himself cannot hold Syria together. It's a fact, and he knows it. And he's working with French, he's working with Americans, and he's working very closely with the Israeli government. Of course, for the optics and for greater amount of his standing, he would say, no, we don't like these kind of airstrikes. We will not let any foreign entity come and create divisions between the Druze and the other Syrian communities. He's meaning to condemn all of these actions in public. But there are really no fundamental, in a way, differences when it comes to Syria's territorial integrity and Ahmad al-Shara's dependence on America and Israel to hold the land together. I think he is diplomatic, he is very smart, and he's taking the help where he needs those hands, but he would also appear very independent and autonomous to stand against these in public forums.
What next happens to the Druze community? Is their will being heard?
Listen, minorities in West Asia are not in a comfortable position now or in the past. As a minority, it's very difficult to survive in these places because you don't have any kind of a state protection by law. You depend on your goodwill and the relationship with the majority group that you live next to. So I think Druze are going to live in a very precarious situation because of two factors. Because of the Israel-Hamas long war, the regional landscape is rapidly changing. Imagine Lebanon is a new country. Syria is a completely new country. But these are also very fragile countries. There is no one new system that is holding things together. Ahmad al-Shara cannot control many of the militias in Syria, which are in a way taking revenge or taking their historical count with other communities because of the long civil war. So I think minorities will have to look out for whatever help they get in order to protect themselves. They will have to live in a very, very, let's say, anxious years to come, unless there is a regime that takes a very firm control of the land as well as offers a very full commitment that we will protect all the groups, Islamic, non-Islamic, Shia, Sunni, Christian, no matter what. Syria doesn't have very, pleasant history among these communities in the recent decade. So all of these communities feel that they are on their own and they have to look out for themselves.
All right. Thank you so much, Dr. Kivraj Jangir, for joining us and bringing us a very detailed perspective on the developing situation there. Moving on, a devastating fire broke out in a shopping mall in eastern Iraq's Al-Quds city, claiming at least 61 lives and injuring 11 others. The cause of the fire is not yet specified. However, country's interior ministry said that most of the victims died from suffocation in bathrooms. The province's governor said initial results from an investigation would be announced within 48 hours, adding that lawsuits have been filed against the owner of the building and the mall. Time to take a quick and short break, but still to come on the other side. German Chancellor Merz to make first official visit to London on the 17th of July. Up next, we'll get you more details on Bahrain's $17 billion US deals during Trump talks. And curfew imposed after at least 4 killed in Bangladesh's Gopalganj district, the home district of Sheikh Hasina.
Geopolitics and trade deals. Economic challenges amid development. Hard work and the path to prosperity. It's the economy always. Between walkers, money is what money does and says. Supply creates its own demand. Between the bulls pulls and bears tears. When supply chains globalization and India rises to the podium. We'll get you centered with the Economic Brief at 8 p.m. every Thursday on DD India.
Welcome back after that short break. You're watching DD India News Hour. And now in a latest update, Russia and Ukraine have accused each other of targeting civilians, something both the sides deny in the course of the conflict. Russian authorities on Thursday claimed that Russian air defense units destroyed 122 Ukrainian drones overnight that targeted the capital, Moscow, and scores of other Russian regions, injuring at least one person. In a social media post, Russian Defense Ministry said more than half of the drones were destroyed over the Belgorod, Kursk and Bryansk regions that border Ukraine. Earlier, Ukrainian drone attack killed 3 people and injured at least 17 others in the Belgorod region, regional governor said. Now, German Chancellor Friedrich Merz will travel to London on Thursday in his first visit there since taking office in the month of May. The visit is intended to deepen the close ties between the two countries. During the visit, the German Chancellor and the UK Prime Minister are expected to sign a friendship treaty covering foreign and security cooperation. The upcoming treaty will also include measures aimed at boosting economic growth and encouraging stronger people-to-people contacts between the two nations. Last October, the UK and Germany agreed a milestone defence pact, and they have since announced several joint initiatives, such as developing strike missiles. Merz's trip will follow the state visit to Britain by French President Emmanuel Macron, the first by a European Union head of state since the UK left the bloc. The European Commission has proposed a $2.31 trillion European Union budget for 2028 till 2034, prioritizing economic competitiveness and defense spending, with plans to overhaul traditional spending on farming and regional development. Most of the funding for the budget comes from governments of the European Union member countries. The Commission also pitched dedicating €100 billion for Ukraine outside of the budget structure. The proposal marks the start of years of intense negotiations before a final budget is agreed by all the member countries and signed off by the European Parliament. The proposal allocates 131 billion euros specifically to defence and space, which is a five-fold increase over the current level.
Enlargement is a key priority. It is not just a political objective, it is a strategic investment in Europe's stability and prosperity. And that is why we are opening the full toolbox of global Europe to candidate countries, not only technical assistance, but also support for reforms and investments backed by resources.
Now, though the farmers and regions would still receive substantial funding according to the proposal, it sets aside 302 billion euros to support the farmers. Farmers held a protest in Brussels with influential European farmers lobby group Copa Cogeca calling the day European Agriculture's Black Wednesday.
Everybody is talking Europe needs to get stronger. But how can you get stronger with an empty stomach? If Europe is worrying about the future, Europe should be worrying about the future of our farmers. And for a future for the farmers need a strong budget, a strong CAP. They don't need a budget which has to be shared with other policies in Europe. So that are we asking today. And that should not only worry our farmers, it should worry all European civilians.
The European Commission unveiled its ambitious proposal for its next long-term budget worth nearly 2 trillion euros. Joining us with more is DW correspondent Chiponda Chimbelu in Berlin. Good afternoon, Chiponda. What is Brussels planning?
Thanks for having me. Well, this is actually a 1.98 trillion euro budget to be precise. And that amount is just over 1% of the EU's GDP. Now, this is the bloc's next long-term budget. So it is actually supposed to take effect in 2028 and run until 2034. The budget proposal gives us a sense of where the EU's priorities lie and, of course, also how it plans for the bloc to remain competitive. Now, Brussels wants to have fewer fixed costs. That would, of course, allow it to be better able to respond to any future crises. In the current budget, which runs until 2027, only around 4% was actually for unplanned costs. So that is what made it very, very difficult for the European Commission to respond to crises like the COVID-19 pandemic and Russia's war in Ukraine. And that is why Brussels wants more money, perhaps, and also more flexibility. It says it needs to be able to be more responsive. Now, right now, any major changes to spending have required the approval of the EU Parliament and its member states as well. And that can take long. But before the European Commission's budget proposal and its reform do take effect, it too will need the approval of the European Parliament and the EU's 27 member states.
Chiponda, how are European countries responding to this?
Well, the EU budget proposal hasn't gone down very well here in Berlin. A government spokesperson said that the increase is unacceptable. And that is because European governments are trying to adjust their own budgets because they're being forced to spend more on defense. Now, other EU governments are likely to have similar responses. The EU budget is funded by member state contributions based on their gross national income, value-added tax, and also customs duties. So the fact that the European Commission wants more flexibility is not necessarily a welcome thing as well, because by delegating some of the decision-making on spending to national budgets, the EU Parliament will lose some of the influence it has on spending. So that is something that will also be unwelcome in the EU Parliament as well. So the support for this is going to be quite tricky.
All right. Thank you so much, Chiponda, for joining us from Berlin. Moving on. Bahrain's Crown Prince announced his plans to invest more than $17 billion in the United States at a meeting with President Donald Trump in Washington, D.C. Under the plan, Bahrain was expected to sign a deal valued at about $7 billion for its national carrier, Gulf Air, to buy 12 Boeing B-8.N aircraft with an option for 6 more and 40 General Electric engines. The announcement from Prince Salman came during an Oval Office visit on the heels of foreign investment deals Trump made during a trip to the Middle East in the month of May. Now, Sunni-ruled Bahrain is an important security partner of the United States, hosting the U.S. Navy's 5th fleet. Bahrain's exports face a 10% baseline tariff under Trump's trade policies, but have been spared large levies imposed on other countries' exports. The U.S. official said the new Bahrain deal will support 30,000 American jobs and was secured with the help from Donald Trump and Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick. Later this year, the King of Bahrain will visit Washington to finalize these agreements and solidify the progress made in building the two nations' economic prosperity. And during a meeting with the leader of Bahrain, Donald Trump said Iran wants to negotiate with the United States, but he is in no rush to talk. While Bahrain's Crown Prince said that the ball is in Iran's court. Take a listen.
And they do. They want to negotiate. They want to negotiate badly. We're in no rush because, we said we could have made a deal. They should have made a deal. And then we bombed the hell out of their various places. We're in no rush, but if they want to negotiate, we're here.
Iranians want to negotiate. I believe the ball's in their court. That is the true reality of where we stand today. They are the ones that stand to benefit from a negotiation.
Now, this comes after Israel and the U.S. launched strikes on Iran's nuclear facilities last month, saying that they were part of a program geared towards developing nuclear weapons. Now, U.S. President Donald Trump on Wednesday claimed that China may soon begin handling out the death penalty for fentanyl manufacturing and distribution. Speaking at a White House event, Donald Trump said he had imposed a 20% tariff on Chinese imports as a penalty for the country's role in supplying the drug. Trump made the comments as he signed the Halt Fentanyl Act into a law, pledging to liberate America from what he called a deadly drug scourge. The event was attended by families who lost loved ones to fentanyl overdose.
Today we strike a righteous blow to the drug dealers, narcotic traffickers, and criminal cartels that we've all been hearing so much about for so many years, and very little has been done. And we take a historic step toward justice for every family touched by the fentanyl scourge as we sign the Halt Fentanyl Act into law.
In Bangladesh, at least 4 people were killed in attacks and clashes over a rally organized by the National Citizen Party in Gopalganj district, which is the home district of Sheikh Hasina. Now, some 20 to 50 people were injured in the clashes that erupted amid political tensions in the area following attacks on a rally organized by the NCP to mark the first anniversary of the July uprising. The government on Wednesday imposed curfew in Gopalganj district amid heightening tensions. The curfew will remain in force till 6 p.m. on Thursday amidst heavy deployment. Time to take a quick and short break, but still to come on the other side. After the break, we'll get you a rounded perspective on India's efforts to upskill entrepreneurs in villages with AI. India's President Draupadi Murmu confers prestigious Swachh Sarvekshan 2024-25 awards.
A bombing campaign against Iran. the Philippines vessel suffered structural damage. The saga of child sexual abuse is the United States China's debt trap strategy. Truth is stranger than fiction. But sometimes hard to uncover.
Welcome back after that short break. You're watching the India News Hour. Time to quickly recap top headlines of the hour. Syrian government and leaders of Druze minority announces new ceasefire. UNSC to meet today. Massive fire at mall in Iraq's Al-Quds leaves at least 61 people dead, many reportedly missing. And India all set to explore hydrocarbons in more than 200,000 square kilometers, says Petroleum and Natural Gas Minister Hardeep Singh Puri. President Draupadi Murmu conferred the Swachh Sarvekshan 2024-25 awards at a national ceremony held by the Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs at New Delhi's Vigyan Bhavan on Thursday. Now in its 9th edition, Swachh Sarvekshan is the world's largest urban cleanliness survey conducted under the Swachh Bharat Mission Urban. A new Super League Cities category was introduced this year for cities maintaining top cleanliness standards for 3 consecutive years. Indore was named the cleanest city in this new category and also topped the 1 million plus population category, followed by Surat, Navi Mumbai and Vijayawada. Other category winners included Noida in 3 to 10 lakh population, New Delhi Municipal Council in 50,000 to 3 lakh population, and Maharashtra in 20,000 to 50,000 population, and Panchgani in less than 20,000 population. The awards have also been held annually since 2016 to recognize the excellence in urban sanitation and hygiene across the country. Moving on. India's Minister of Electronics and Information Technology, Ashwini Vaishnaw, has said that the government will provide free artificial intelligence training to 10 lakh individuals and priority will be given to village-level entrepreneurs.
आप सबको फ्री में AI की ट्रेनिंग दी जाएगी. AI मिशन है अपना बहुत अच्छा. उस AI मिशन के तहत हम लोगों ने टारगेट लिया है कि करीब 10 लाख लोगों को AI स्किल्स में तैयार करेंगे. तो आप सब उसमें 5.5 लाख VLEs अपने हैं. आप सबको सबसे पहले उसमें प्रेफरेंस दी जाएगी.
The minister made these remarks at an event by Common Service Centre E-Governance Services India Limited that celebrated 10 years of Digital India in New Delhi. The grand celebration marked a decade of transformative digital empowerment across the nation. Minister Vaishnaw also said that under Prime Minister's digital vision, UPI payments have surpassed Visa transactions. He added that this is the strength of 1.4 billion Indians.
मोदी जी के दूरदर्शिता से यूपीआई का पेमेंट वीजा से ज्यादा हो गया है. 80-90% गांवों तक आप लोग पहुंच गए.
And now to discuss more on this, I'm joined by Mr. Shubhimal Bhattacharjee, who is the IT and technology expert. Good afternoon, Mr. Bhattacharjee. Now 10 years of Digital India, which has historic transformational journey. From UPI to AI, the progress speaks for itself, and now the government has announced free AI training with priority for all village-level entrepreneurs or the VLEs. How is it going to help in building the future of India and its dream of entering the top 3 economies?
Thank you. I think the most important aspect that the Railway and IT Minister has announced is that you are going to train 10,000 village-level entrepreneurs in AI. So this is very significant because through the last mile, if you are not going and getting them into the system to be able to perform, if you are not skilling them, then at the end of the day, the reception for such an endeavor will not be there. You take the classic example of UPI, that the number of people across their literacy levels have become very, very familiar in no time, and that is the reason for the success of UPI. As the Honorable Minister was mentioning, today UPI is in 7 countries, but leave aside those other countries. In our country, the reception of UPI has been very, very strong and steady because you went to the last one. So here, when you are looking at AI, and mind you, AI is the future, and India has very rightly looked at AI into many, many areas in terms of developmental improvement and aid, as well as future strategic areas using AI. So that's where, again, the startups, the last mile, the entrepreneurs across the country, a lot of people have a lot of ideas, and a lot of people have a lot of ingenuity. If you are able to provide them the right basic level training, they are going to pick this up far much faster and would be able to do it. There's also the case of the smart hackathons run by the government that have been shown so much of young talents across the country to be able to find solutions to problems across various sectors or various gaps. And those things will even be possible when you move to the AI regime far much more closely, because you are getting people trained at the furthest end, and they're also going to seamlessly get integrated into how you are trying to push across the technology. So I think this is a very good steps, and the scope remains across various sectors. It could be some kind of technical work, it could be some kind of problem solving that you try to get aided with AI. You could look at optimizing various resources that are available around. You could look at even enabling IT education or even cyber security. So, n number of opportunities are there.
Also, Mr. Bhattacharjee, now India's progress is deep-rooted in the villages, and now is the time when we are not only talking about internet access or penetration to isolated places, but upskilling the villagers and especially the entrepreneurs in AI. Like UPI, can this also become a blueprint for other countries?
Of course. You see, the whole intent of Digital India and as such, the technology revolution in the country has been to create an equal opportunity for everyone, wherever he is in the country, with whatever level of skills he has in understanding or performing with technology. Hence, the intent should be to carry everyone forward, and that is where the support for various entrepreneurship around the digital space also becomes very, very important, and that is where you need to give some basic skill and training. So while we have successfully done the technology adoption across sectors, we have also gone out as part of our diplomacy, right from G20, when India or during India's G20 presidency, to be looking at digital public infrastructure, and thus go and enable those countries also to look at our success story, because our success story is significant. We are a huge, populated country, so the scale of our networks are quite big, and the number of functions that happen simultaneously, that's also quite high. So you need real proper planning and scaling, and that is what has happened, and that is the strength now today with years of experience that we are able to show to the other countries and offer to the other countries that this kind of scalable models is something that you can adopt and you can adapt to your various parts of the country across various functions. So I think that is where it is very, very important to see that while around DPI we have gone and supported the global south, now comes the time of AI. And so on a similar pitch, we are also going to be useful to many other countries in the world in terms of adoption of AI across various sectors, and also skilling the manpower at the various levels. So a beginning has been made, as the minister has said, that if 10,000 village level entrepreneurs are trained across the country with artificial intelligence, I think that same model can also be supported in many other countries who look up to India for assistance and support, particularly in the digital space.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Shubhimal Bhattacharjee, for joining us and bringing us a rounded perspective on 10 years of transformational journey of Digital India. Moving on, India's Petroleum and Natural Gas Minister Hardeep Singh Puri said that Urja Varta 2025 plays a key role in accelerating India's exploration and production sector. Urja Varta 2025 aims to become a critical platform for shaping the future of India's energy landscape and reinforcing the country's commitment to sustainability and innovation in energy domain. The minister highlighted that he expects the new round of hydrocarbon exploration being launched in India to strike several big Guyana-sized oil fields.
We opened up, out of our 3.5 million square kilometers of sedimentary space, we've opened up 1 million square kilometers. In the 10th round of open acreage licensing policy, or OALP, we are offering what, 257,000 square kilometers of bid. This is the largest ever. I don't know, there may have been some earlier, but from what I read in the statistics, probably the largest ever bid. When we did the 9th round of OALP, 38% of bids came in this 1 million square kilometers, which was opened out, no-go area.
While commenting on US President Donald Trump's secondary tariff threat against India, Union Minister Hardeep Singh Puri said that India diversified its sources of buying oil and is not facing pressure over Trump's new threat. He was speaking at Urja Varta in New Delhi.
India has diversified the sources of supply, and we have gone, I think, from about 27 countries that we used to buy from to about 40 countries now. In the last 10, 11 years, 16% of the growth in the energy markets, crude oil, has come from India. And if you believe in the analysis of the International Energy Agency, a very credible analysis, that in the next 2 decades, 25% of the global growth is going to come from India. If more and more people were to buy from the other OPEC sources, you know what would have happened? Prices would have gone up minimum to $130, $140 a barrel.
Moving on. As Bolivia intensified its campaign against measles, India sent measles and rubella vaccines to the Central South American nation to support it in managing the outbreak of the disease. India dispatched a consignment of 300,000 doses of measles and rubella vaccines, along with ancillary supplies. This aid is part of India's commitment to supporting its allies in the global south. These vaccines will allow Bolivia to commence the next phase of mass vaccination and expand coverage to protect children between the ages of 1 and 14 years. On to weather updates now. Monsoon has extended its influence, pouring heavy rain over states such as Uttarakhand, Rajasthan and Madhya Pradesh. India's Met Department has predicted well-marked low-pressure area over southeast Uttar Pradesh and adjoining southwest Bihar moved west-northwestwards and concentrated into a depression and lay centered at 5:30 hours IST today. It is likely to move west and northwestwards across UP during the next 2 days. IMD has issued red alert in East UP, West UP, East MP and West MP. In UP, extremely heavy rains have been predicted, while in Madhya Pradesh, extremely heavy rains with thunderstorm and lightning is predicted. Orange alert is issued in Uttarakhand, Bihar, South Interior, Karnataka and Kerala. Torrential rain battered South Korea on Thursday, leading to the death of 1 person and the evacuation of over 100 others, according to country's safety ministry. According to the weather officials, the western Seosan area was hit by rainfall, peaking at 114.9 millimeters per hour, adding that this was the highest rate since 1904. The heavy rains were due to warm and moist air flowing in along the edge of the North Pacific High, triggering strong atmospheric instability. Residents in Hongxiang County, also in South Changjiang Province, were ordered to evacuate immediately to a safer location due to flooding from nearby stream. In Changjiang Province, 2 people were rescued following a landslide, while several schools and nurseries in the country were also closed. Air quality alerts are in place across Canada due to smoke from wildfires, with officials warning residents to limit time outdoors. Eyewitness footage showed smoke and flames burning forested and mountainous areas in Newfoundland and Labrador, an eastern Canadian province on the Atlantic coast. Canadian officials said at least 7 fires are burning across Newfoundland and Labrador, with an unknown number of cabins destroyed and residents forced to flee. Flames licking burnt orange cliff edges, plumes of smoke blotting out the sun. Now, these are the scenes currently meeting visitors at one of America's most treasured natural wonders, the Grand Canyon, where 2 wildfires have burned out of control since the 10th of July. The Dragon Bravo and White Sage fires continue to burn close to the Grand Canyon's north rim, forcing the evacuation of the area and causing the destruction of more than 80 buildings, including the historic Grand Canyon Lodge. Ignited by lightning, the wildfires continue to burn in northeastern Arizona's Coconino County, leaving more than 60,000 acres of land charred so far. You're watching DD India News Hour, and now it's time to take a look at other stories making news around the world in brief. Australian Prime Minister Anthony Albanese wrapped up his China visit with a heartwarming stop in Chengdu to greet Funi, the giant panda once loaned to Adelaide Zoo. Calling her a great ambassador for China, the Prime Minister praised the visit as warm and positive. Funi returned to China in 2024 after years down under. Albanese also toured a cochlear implant research center on his final day. Archaeologists in Albania have uncovered the oldest known lakeside settlement in Europe, dating back 8,000 years. Hidden beneath Lake Ohrid, the site shows early farming, animal bones and beautifully carved pottery. Wooden stilts that supported homes are still intact, and thanks to water preservation for that. And British company amazed the visitors at the Goodwood Festival of Speed with spurling its futuristic hypercar that can drive upside down. Using ultra-powerful fans to create vacuum downforce, it grips surfaces like glue even when inverted. The car rockets from 0 to 60 meters per hour in just 1.5 seconds and corners with fighter jet force. Time to take a short break, but still to come on the other side. G20 finance ministers gather in South Africa from Thursday amid trade tensions. In sports, Indian women's cricket team wins first ODI against England in Southampton. India take 1-0 lead in 3-match series.
Jharkhand will mesmerize you with majestic nature, rich heritage and colorful culture.
Hello. Johar. It fits perfectly.
Thank you.
Full workout ho gaya.
Ready?
Postcards from Jharkhand on National Geographic.
Welcome back after that short break. You're watching DD India News Hour. Now, delegates arrived in South Africa's coastal city of Durban on Thursday as G20 finance talks kick off. Host South Africa, under its presidency motto Solidarity, Equality and Sustainability, has aimed to promote an African agenda with topics including the high cost of capital and funding for climate change action. Key issues on agenda include climate change and cross-border payment systems amid fears that U.S. tariffs would overshadow the gathering. U.S. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent will not attend the 2-day meeting of finance ministers and central bank governors in the coastal city of Durban, marking his second absence from a G20 event in South Africa this year. Michael Kaplan, U.S. Acting Undersecretary for International Affairs, will represent Washington at the meeting. The G20 aims to coordinate policies, but its agreements are non-binding. An $8 billion class action investors lawsuit against Meta CEO Mark Zuckerberg and company leaders, current and former, begins on Wednesday. Jeffrey Zients, White House Chief of Staff under President Joe Biden, former President Joe Biden, and a Meta Platforms director for 2 years starting in May 2018, testified that the Federal Trade Commission initially sought tens of billions of dollars, but was willing to accept $5 billion, and the company felt it was important to reach a deal that did not name Zuckerberg as a defendant. The trial began on Wednesday and is scheduled to last until the 25th of July. The case was brought following revelations that data from millions of Facebook users was accessed by Cambridge Analytica, a now defunct political consulting firm that worked for Donald Trump's successful US presidential campaign back in the year 2016. And now let's get you all the latest from the world of sports. India Sports Minister Mansukh Mandaviya presided over Khelo India conclave in New Delhi on Thursday. The objective of the conclave is to make the new sports policy effective and efficient and promote sports as a mass movement. The Sports Ministry has planned a 2-day conclave to bring together the federations, sportspersons, coaches and corporate sector to discuss the way forward for Indian sports. Apart from the Sports Minister, Minister for States for Sports Rakshak Khatse, Sports Secretary Hari Ranjan Rao and other eminent personalities took part in the meeting. Mansukh Mandaviya said that the new sports policy bill will be presented in the monsoon session of the Parliament, and he sought suggestions from stakeholders.
आने वाले सेशन में मुझे उसको पार्लियामेंट में लेके आना है। उनके बाद एक 2 सीरीज के बाद तीसरा पहलू हमने दिशा निर्देश करा है स्पोर्ट्स पॉलिसी ने। सीरीज रिफॉर्म हम कैसे करें? तीसरी श्रेणी में हमें 10 साल का रोड मैप तय करना होगा। आज ये भी एक पार्ट है मेडल स्ट्रेटेजी। 10 साल में हम कैसे दुनिया के 10वें क्रम तक स्पोर्ट्स में मेडल टैली में आ सके, क्या करना चाहिए उसके लिए मुझे आज आपका सुझाव चाहिए।
In chess, India's Praggnanandhaa and Arjuna Rigaisi advanced to the quarterfinals of freestyle chess Grand Slam last week on Thursday. Praggnanandhaa entered quarterfinal after a stunning 4th-round victory over tournament leader Magnus Carlsen. Praggnanandhaa has finished at the top of Group White with 4.5 points, while Rigaisi was placed 3rd in Group Black. 5-time world champion Magnus Carlsen finished 5th in Group White and is now out of the race for the Las Vegas title. In women's cricket, Indian women's cricket team beat England by 4 wickets in first ODI in Southampton on Wednesday. Deepti Sharma's unbeaten half-century, anchored by Jamia Rodrigues and Amanjot Kaur, helped India chase down 259 with 10 balls to spare. With this, the Indian women's team registered their 2nd highest successful chase in ODIs. It was also the 3rd highest chase on English soil by any team. The Indian team has taken a 1-0 lead in 3-match series. Both the teams will clash again in 2nd ODI on Saturday. The training camp for Delhi Premier League Season 2 is underway. Defending champions East Delhi Riders are aiming to retain their crown, while other teams are eager to change the storyline. Speaking to DD India correspondent Narayan Singh, East Delhi Riders team manager Ravindra Singh called DPL a great platform for young talent.
The training camp for the 2nd edition of the Delhi Premier League has been started, and right now I am joined by Ravinder Singh ji, who is the team manager of the East Delhi Riders, who are the defending champions and won the inaugural edition of the Delhi Premier League. Sir, a very warm welcome. The way things has been started for East Delhi Riders, your team won the inaugural edition. So this time around it's a big challenge to retain the title, to defend it.
Definitely the pressure is on us. Last year there was an inaugural tournament. No one wants to expect from anything because it was the first time. Now we have to win the tournament. All eyes are on us. Everybody wants to see how East Delhi Riders performs. So pressure is definitely on us, but we will definitely overcome the pressure.
Talking about this league, it's a wonderful platform for the young players of Delhi. The way it is also, we can say that keeps them busy, because it's not possible for that every player will be a part of the Indian Premier League. But it has given wonderful players to the Indian Premier League, one of the best league in the world. So how you look this platform of the Delhi Premier League for the young and budding cricketers?
It's a very, very good platform for the young cricketers. And now everyone wants to play DPL because they know that after if they show in DPL, the scouts are watching them, and they can definitely take a place to the IPL. Like you see Priyan Sharia from Delhi also, Anuj Rawat is playing, Ayush Badoni is playing, Himmat Singh playing. Many stars are from Delhi. Last year DPL have played IPL.
How this DPL is different from other league? How the branding, how it has become how it became so big brand in the Indian cricketing?
Definitely, DPL is one of the biggest league in India now. Because you can see that our stars are bought for even 40 lakh rupees. And yesterday I came to know that the Karnataka Premier League auction went gone, and it was only around 8 to 9 lakh rupees for the highest bidder. And even that it shows how big the Delhi DPL is. It is the most expensive league here, and everybody wants to see how players perform. Delhi is full of big and natural talent. So that's why it is the biggest brand in India now.
Definitely, the way the team manager of the East Delhi Rider, Ravinder Singh ji, said that it is becoming a big brand as it has given a multiple stars like Priyan Sharia to the Indian team. Even the players like Anuj Rawat were also the part of the Indian Premier League. So it's going to be big this season. This is the season 2, and hoping that like season 1, it will once again will give many more players to the IPL and to the country also. With camera person Sumit, Narayan Singh, DD India, Delhi.
Moving on, India's External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar met with Republic of Korea Presidential Delegation of Special Envoys in New Delhi on Thursday. Discussion was held on economic, technology, defense and maritime cooperation, as well as expanding people-to-people exchanges. India will engage the new administration actively and work towards further enhancing this special strategic partnership. And that's all for this edition of DD India News Hour. But do let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on DD India mobile app. The app is available on both Android and iOS platforms. Scan the QR code on the screen to download it right now. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I am Deepika, and from all of us here in New Delhi, thank you so much for watching DD India News Hour. Namaskar.